darling.
Hello, Daddy. Hello, Daddy.
How do you like it? We've been waiting for you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
In 1946, a war-shocked Jimmy Stewart came home from real combat missions to make his first movie in 5 years. It flopped so hard, the director went personally into debt. The FBI opened a secret file on it as suspected communist propaganda.
Just a minute now, hold on, Mr. Capra. Just a minute. Now, you're right when you say my father was no businessman. I know that.
And nobody involved had any idea that 30 years later, a paperwork mistake would quietly turn it into the most beloved Christmas movie in American history. Here are 15 shocking facts about It's a Wonderful Life. Stick around, hit subscribe. Number 1. Cary Grant was almost George Bailey. Before Jimmy Stewart ever stood on that snowy bridge, the role of George Bailey belonged to somebody else. RKO Studios originally developed the story with Cary Grant in mind. He was one of the biggest stars in the world at the time. The project was even shaped around what a Cary Grant version of George might look like. When RKO couldn't get the script to work, they sold the whole thing to Frank Capra. Capra had one man in mind, not Grant, not Henry Fonda, who was also considered Jimmy Stewart. The entire tone of the movie we know exists because a struggling script got passed from one studio to a director who wanted a different actor for it. Number 2. Frank Capra's pitch to Jimmy Stewart was terrible. Capra sat down with Jimmy Stewart in a Los Angeles restaurant to pitch the film in person. As Capra told the story himself years later, he laid out the whole premise. A man on Christmas Eve is about to kill himself. A guardian angel named Clarence, who cannot swim, comes down to stop him.
Help! Help!
Halfway through his own pitch, Capra realized how strange it sounded out loud. He stopped and said to Stewart, quote, "Actually, this doesn't sound too good, does it?" Stewart didn't hesitate. He said, "Frank, if you want me to make a movie about a guy who wants to kill himself..."
Help!
"And an angel comes down named Clarence, who can't swim, and I save him. When do we start?"
Help! Help!
That was the entire audition. Number 3. Jimmy Stewart had come back from real war and was struggling. This was Stewart's first film in almost 5 years. He hadn't been away making other pictures. He had been in the war. He flew combat missions over Europe as a bomber pilot in the United States Army Air Forces. He came home decorated. He also came home changed. Modern historians and family members have described what Stewart was living with as symptoms consistent with what we now call PTSD. He wasn't sure he wanted to act again at all. He wasn't sure he could still do it. The role of George Bailey, a man collapsing under the weight of his own life and standing on a bridge in the dark, isn't just a great performance. It's a man who had just come back from something unimaginable, playing a man about to give up. What audiences experience as pure emotion is Stewart pouring in something completely real. Number 4. The bridge breakdown scene wasn't planned to be that raw. The most famous scene of Stewart's entire career is the one where George Bailey collapses in prayer at the bar, tears streaming down his face.
I'm not a praying man, but if you're up there and you can hear me.
And then later, breaks apart on the bridge.
You all right, George? Who's that? He gone.
That level of emotional exposure wasn't in the shooting plan. Frank Capra later said Stewart went to a place in that scene nobody had prepared for. Stewart himself, in interviews decades later, described that moment as one of the hardest he ever filmed, and he refused to say much more about it. What we're watching isn't technique. It's a man who had come home from war, finding the exact character to let something out. Capra kept rolling. He didn't ask for another take. He didn't need one. Number 5. Frank Capra invented modern movie snow. Every snowy scene you've ever loved in a Christmas film owes its look to this movie. Before 1946, the standard way of faking snow in Hollywood was painted cornflakes. Actors walked through fields of colored cereal that crunched underfoot and made dialogue almost impossible to record. Capra wanted better. He worked with the RKO special effects team, led by chemist Russell Shearman, to invent a new artificial snow made from a mixture of foamite, sugar, water, and soap flakes. It was silent. It looked convincing, and it could be dropped from overhead machines in large volume. The RKO team was awarded a Technical Achievement Oscar for the snow. Modern movie snow, as an industry standard, essentially begins with this film. Number 6, it was filmed during the hottest Los Angeles summer on record. Even with the new snow, the shoot was brutal. Capra insisted on filming the Christmas scenes on real sets in the summer of 1946. That summer turned out to be one of the hottest Los Angeles had ever recorded. Actors stood on artificial snowdrifts wearing wool coats, scarves, and thick winter clothing, while the outdoor temperature climbed past 90 degrees. The cast melted between takes. Capra had to shut production for a day at one point because it was physically dangerous to keep going. The eternal winter feel of Bedford Falls was created by a cast on the edge of heat exhaustion. Number 7, Uncle Billy's drunken fall was a real accident. Watch the scene where Uncle Billy stumbles off screen after leaving George's house drunk. You hear a huge crash of trash cans and metal. Uncle Billy shouts, "I'm all right, I'm all right." That is not scripted.
I'm all right, I'm all right. Oh, sweeties.
During filming, a crew member accidentally dropped a stack of props right off camera at the exact moment actor Thomas Mitchell was walking. Mitchell, staying in character, delivered the "I'm all right" line as improvisation over the noise. Capra loved it so much he kept it in the final cut. He also gave the crew member who caused the accident a $10 bonus for improving the scene. Every time you laugh at that moment, you're laughing at a happy accident that made it past the editor. Quick pause. If this is hitting, hit subscribe so the next deep dive lands in your feed. Drop a comment with the moment from this movie that always gets you. Now back to Bedford Falls. Number 8, it was a genuine box office flop. Modern audiences assume It's a Wonderful Life was a hit. It wasn't. It lost money on release. RKO expected it to be a massive holiday earner. Audiences didn't show up. It went up against The Best Years of Our Lives, a much bigger post-war drama, and got crushed at the box office. The financial damage was so severe it played a role in the eventual collapse of Frank Capra's production company, Liberty Films, which was absorbed into Paramount. Capra himself reportedly ended up around $25,000 in personal debt over the picture. Reviews were lukewarm. Some critics called it sentimental and manipulative. The film that today defines American Christmas was, at the time, a career setback. Number 9. It was nominated for 5 Oscars and won 0. The Academy noticed the film. It picked up 5 nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor for Jimmy Stewart. Then it won nothing. The Best Years of Our Lives swept the ceremony. The only prize It's a Wonderful Life brought home from the Oscars was a Technical Achievement Award, but it went to the RKO effects team for their new snow. The story of a man who thinks his life doesn't matter left the biggest awards ceremony of the year with nothing to show. For most films, that would be the end. For this one, it was the middle of a much stranger story. Number 10. The FBI opened a secret file on it as communist propaganda. This one sounds like a joke and isn't. In 1947, an FBI informant filed a report with the office of J. Edgar Hoover, flagging It's a Wonderful Life as potentially subversive. The reason: the film portrayed a wealthy banker, Henry F. Potter, as the villain. According to the informant, painting a rich banker in a negative light was, quote, a common trick used by communists to inject propaganda. The FBI took the report seriously enough to add the film to a watch list. Frank Capra and his collaborators were personally investigated during the Cold War Red Scare. The most wholesome Christmas movie in American history was on an actual FBI file for years. There's a copy of the memo still available in public records. Number 11. The FBI missed the actual communists. Here's the absurd twist. While the FBI was combing through the film looking for evidence that Capra had been influenced by his lunch companions and screenwriter friends, the Bureau completely missed the real story. According to later research, at least 3 actual members of the Communist Party did uncredited work on the movie's script during rewrites. The FBI focused on associations, gossip, and the mere presence of a rich villain. They ignored the actual writers doing actual work on the actual film. One of the most famous investigations in Hollywood Red Scare history was, in this case, aimed at the wrong people the entire time. Number 12. A paperwork mistake in 1974 turned it into a classic. For nearly 30 years after its release, It's a Wonderful Life was mostly a forgotten flop. Then in 1974, the copyright on the film lapsed due to a clerical error by the studio. When a copyright is not properly renewed under United States law of the era, the work falls into a gray area where broadcasters can air it without paying licensing fees. Suddenly, small television stations across America realized they had a full-length Christmas movie starring Jimmy Stewart that they could play over and over for essentially free. And they did. Every December, all through the late 70s and 80s, the film was on air constantly. Whole generations discovered it because it was the cheapest Christmas programming a local station could put on. The status you now think it always had was invented by an accountant somebody forgot to talk to. Number 13. Copyright was quietly restored in the 1990s. By the early 90s, the film was one of the most viewed Christmas movies.
I have to practice it for the party tonight, Daddy.
Mom said we could stay up till midnight and sing Christmas carols.
In television history, and the studio that owned the underlying story finally noticed. In 1993, based on a Supreme Court decision about how music rights and story rights work in old films, the rights holders were able to reassert control over the film's broadcast. NBC eventually locked down the exclusive rights. Overnight, the endless local television broadcasts stopped. What had been on 20 channels a day in December suddenly disappeared from most of them. To this day, NBC controls when and where you can watch it on network television. The film's rise to fame was accidental. Its return to normal Hollywood ownership was very much on purpose. Number 14. Jimmy Stewart went to Congress to protect it. In the mid-1980s, Ted Turner's company began colorizing classic black and white films for television broadcast, including It's a Wonderful Life. Jimmy Stewart was furious. He didn't just complain in interviews. He went to Washington, D.C. in 1988 and personally testified before Congress against the practice. He argued that colorizing his film distorted the director's intent and damaged the original artistic vision. He specifically called out the colorized version of It's a Wonderful Life as an example of the harm being done to old movies. Stewart was one of the most beloved Americans alive at the time. His testimony helped push the industry back toward respecting original black and white masters. He wasn't fighting for a paycheck. He was fighting to keep George Bailey the way Frank Capra shot him. Number 15. Capra and Stewart both said it was their favorite film. Here's the final one. Despite the box office failure, despite the FBI file, despite the Oscar shutout, despite the debt, both Frank Capra and Jimmy Stewart, at the ends of their long careers, said that It's a Wonderful Life was their favorite of anything they had ever made. Capra screened it for his own family every Christmas Eve for the rest of his life. Stewart called it, in his own words, the film he was most proud of. Two of the most decorated men in American cinema, hundreds of films between them, and this was the one they came back to. The movie that flopped, that lost money, that got investigated by the government, that only survived because somebody at a studio forgot to renew a piece of paper, is the one they treasured most. A film about a man who thinks his life doesn't matter, almost didn't matter to anyone, and then it mattered to everyone. That's 15 facts behind It's a Wonderful Life. Drop your favorite in the comments, hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time.